In at number 10, Rosie O'Donnell. Rosie O'Donnell is a comedian and known for crossing the line a few times even as she worked as a host for The View. Unfortunately for Rosie, she never learned how to turn off the rude behavior when it came to her personal life. According to reports, the reason why she was fired from The View was due to multiple people on the set saying that she was far too mean to finish the season with. That was in 2007 and meant that she wouldn't even complete the first season of the show. Rosie did eventually return back to the program later on, but promised that she would be a much calmer version. However, that comeback only lasted 5 months after she released her contract to focus on her family following a divorce with her husband. Entertainment Tonight had interviewed some of the staff that worked with O'Donnell, and here's what they found. O'Donnell, who has a reputation as a demanding and sometimes abrasive boss, didn't feel like her strengths were being properly used by ABC, according to those close to the 52-year-old comedian. Compounding the problem were tensions with co-host Whoopi Goldberg and behind-the-scenes executive turmoil at The View, which recently shifted to management under ABC News. Rosie confirmed to be rude. If Whoopi Goldberg doesn't like you, we got a problem. In at number 9, Tommy Lee Jones. Hey, remember when I said that some of these may not be confirmed? This one is most definitely confirmed. Tommy Lee Jones already gives off those vibes that he may be a grumpy dude in real life, but don't take my word for it, listen to Joan and Melissa Rivers. They had direct interactions with this celebrity and every time list him as the worst to deal with.
Who's given you the worst red carpet interview?
Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, no question.
He is at the top of everybody's lists.
Joan has stated before that he acts like a snob, and because he went to Yale, he therefore believes that he's better than everyone. In at number 8, Jared Leto.
No, that's not his name. It's Jared Leto.
Jared, oh, sick. Big ups, man.
What's your name?
Grinder.
Jared Leto certainly has had his awkward moments in the press and on stage, as you saw there. Upon looking into interactions with this celebrity, I found multiple articles about how he terrorized the cast and crew of Suicide Squad. He fully committed to the role of the Joker, and it was nasty. He treated Margot Robbie as if she was Harley Quinn, so imagine that dialogue on a daily basis. Plus, he sent her a rat as a gift. And before they even started filming, Leto decided to give everyone on set a gift. Viola Davis witnessed the incident and said he did some bad things, Jared Leto did. He gave some really horrific gifts. He had a henchman who would come into the rehearsal room, and then the henchman came in with a dead pig and plopped it on the table and then just walked out. And that was our introduction into Jared Leto. In at number 7, Carrie Underwood. Carrie is a notoriously private person that doesn't resort to acting rude to keep things private. However, the worst of the worst interactions have been from the people that had to work with Underwood. In Toronto, Carrie was the headlining act at a major charity event, but when walking down the red carpet, she repeatedly snubbed the event staff. The PR staff is in charge of directing the celebrities down the carpet so that they don't get caught up with, interviews or too long of a photo shoot. While one of them was trying to do their job and direct Carrie, she said that Underwood looked at her with disgust as she sized her up and down before walking away. Besides that, there's also her strange attention-grabbing posts. A while back, she had reported that after a bad fall, she needed 40 to 50 stitches in her face and that she would look completely different. Then she posted a photo and everyone said, nothing has changed. You look exactly the same. Quit being so rude to people who have actually had terrible things done to their face. In at number 6, Jon Hamm.
I have the nerve to not be in love with Jon Hamm.
What happened?
I just think he's like douchey.
Say what you will about Kathy Griffin, but I actually feel bad for her in this scenario. Here she is getting invited to an exclusive Hollywood dinner, getting to meet Jack Nicholson for the first time, only to have Jon Hamm yapping in her ear. No matter who you ask in Hollywood, most people will fawn over how much they adore and love Jon Hamm, yet Kathy has consistently upheld that he is one of the rudest celebrities that she's ever met. Even in her memoir, she wrote about how Hamm had repeatedly harassed her at a party for no reason. While intoxicated, he called her old and topped it off by saying that her career was a failure. It's no wonder he worked so well as Don Draper in Mad Men, because that's actually who this celebrity embodies most. In at number 5, Christian Bale.
What is he doing there? Do you understand my mind is not in the scene if you're doing that?
I absolutely apologize. I'm sorry. I did not mean anything by it.
Stay off the set, man.
When this tape leaked, Christian Bale not only had to go on a press tour for his new movie, but an apology tour as well. That Christian Bale rant had so many expletives in it that I was almost certain that I couldn't even find a clip for this video. While filming The Terminator Salvation, a crew member had accidentally walked onto the set, interrupting Bale while he was, acting super seriously. This sent the celebrity into a downward spiral of anger where the F word suddenly became punctuation for his sentences. He nearly stopped all production on the movie just so that he could release his frustrations on the hard-working film crew. We get that some acting requires intense focus, but regardless, if someone breaks that focus, that doesn't give the actor license to scream at them. In at number 4, Kanye West.
The young lady seems like a perfectly nice person. She's getting her award. What's he doing?
Why would he do that?
He's a
Now I'm sure that the editors had to bleep that, but even President Obama has confirmed how rude Kanye is. During a 2009 press interview at the White House, Obama didn't realize that his mic was still on. The interviewer was asking the president how he felt about what Kanye did to Taylor Swift, although he didn't seem shocked that West could be so rude. Not only did Kanye's famous VMA interruption get him more negative press than when he said that George Bush hated black people, but he doubled down on his rude behavior. When Trump became president, Kanye continued to treat others horribly. He toted a MAGA hat while also saying that slavery was a choice. On top of his political controversies, the rapper from Chicago has also repeatedly dragged Taylor Swift's name through the mud, even having his wife just join in on their gross behavior. In at number 3, Ariana Grande. Ariana Grande is a confusing one because at times you feel bad for her, but then she'll turn around and have a diva moment like that and you just go, damn, that was really rude. She turned to her red carpet assistant and told her to get out of the way because she was ruining the photos. She also had a run-in with Juliana Rancic, and according to Juliana, while interviewing her, Ariana poked her in the side and gestured for her to switch positions in front of the camera, like while the interview was going. When the interviewer didn't know what she meant, Ariana leaned in and made it very clear. She said, "I only allow photos to be taken from my left side, my good side." Oh, and let's not forget her infamous donut licking scandal. That was nasty. While at a bakery with some friends, Ariana just licked 2 of the donuts on display, didn't pay for them, didn't even eat them, just laughed and then walked away. In at number 2, Mel Gibson. Where do we even start? Oh yeah, now I remember. Oh, great editor God, can you please roll the clip?
I deserve to be first until I burn the house down.
What's even more disturbing is that what you just heard was the 4th phone call, and surprisingly enough, that was one of the least aggressive ones that I could find. The odd thing about Mel Gibson is that throughout the 80s and 90s, he was a nice and well-respected lead actor. He was becoming well-known for the Lethal Weapon movies, and some believe that his ego just started getting a little too big. These vicious voicemails are the result of a drinking problem combined with coping that he was no longer Hollywood's go-to guy. With that much pent-up anger and untreated mental illness, he was destined to be a rude dude. Last but not least, on our number 1 spot, Rihanna. Rihanna takes the cake for the rudest celebrity in Hollywood after this online bullying scandal. In 2010, Rihanna attended the Echo Awards in this green catsuit dress with like bat wings. It was strange. That's really the only way I can describe it. Oddly enough, this look was a huge hit with her fans, so people everywhere were making their own versions. Unfortunately for 16-year-old fan Alexis Carter, she got to see her idol in a whole new light. When she posted her photo trying to pay homage to her favorite artist, she was bullied by a lot of people, including Rihanna, who posted this meme. Then just a few minutes later, she posted this meme. Can you imagine working so hard on making your prom dress to look like Rihanna's, and then she says it sucks via Twitter? What a time to be alive. At least celebrities are exposing themselves for us. So, for that, we thank you.
In at number 10, Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato got tons of backlash after she tried to cancel a small business because she didn't like the products that they were selling. Demi decided to grab some frozen yogurt from a popular froyo place in LA called The Big Chill. But she wasn't happy with what she saw while in the shop and shared her disdain with her over 100 million Instagram followers, writing on her story, quote, "Finding it extremely hard to order froyo from The Big Chill when you have to walk past tons of sugar-free cookies / other diet foods before you get to the counter. Do better, please." Adding the hashtag diet culture vultures. This caused an online feud between Demi and the shop, where Demi called them diet vultures, while they said they were just selling products for their broad customer base, which includes diabetics, celiac, and vegans. The general consensus around this whole event is that Demi is an entitled Karen, and she needs to realize that the world does not revolve around her. Of course, her anger was spurred from her long struggle with food issues. However, she should not have publicly tried to ruin a small business, especially during a pandemic. In at number 9, Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan gained a reputation for being rude during a scandal with Meghan Markle, and there's actually a dating story behind it that makes the whole thing even more juicy. So apparently Piers asked Morgan out on a date before she was with Harry, of course. And rumor has it that they went out on the date, but Meghan ghosted Piers after, so this could be the reason that he is constantly critical of her. More recently, after Meghan's explosive interview with Oprah Winfrey, Piers did not hold back, trashing her on Good Morning Britain. Before him and the other hosts could even discuss the topic, he went on raging about how the interview is tarnishing the reputation of Britain around the world and hurting everything the Queen has worked so so hard for. He also said that he doesn't believe a word that she says. He later left the show after outrage against his comments. In at number 8, James Corden. James Corden seems really nice on camera, but is well known for being awful off set. His rep is so bad that he did a Reddit AMA in 2019, and it practically turned into a roasting session, with tons of people bringing up terrible encounters they had with Corden. Apparently, he goes out of his way to be mean, like advocating for lower pay for TV writers. Literally, why would a rich celebrity ever do that? I have no idea. Apparently, Corden is also known to be rude when fans ask for photos or an autograph with him, especially if he's on set filming. Members of his crew have also claimed that he throws tantrums over minor things and is terrible to work for. He's basically the male version of Ellen. In at number 7, David Letterman. Several old interview clips of David Letterman's have resurfaced recently, and many are saying that he crossed major lines. One example was with Lindsay Lohan from 2013. She did the interview recently at a rehab, and Letterman persistently asked her questions about it. Even though she said many times during the interview that she didn't want to talk about it, he still kept pressing, leading her to cry. Next up was Janet Jackson. Letterman was pressing her about her infamous Super Bowl incident, asking her questions about how the wardrobe malfunction came to be. Right after she was asked about it, she replied, quote, "I don't want to relive any of that." But Letterman kept asking while Jackson looked very sad. And in both of these cases and more, Letterman was definitely rude to his guests and crossed major lines with them when they couldn't stand up for themselves. In at number 6, John Mayer. John Mayer is known for his sensual songs about love, but the image that you have of him in your head is probably not true, and he's actually pretty rude in real life. Mayer has spoken poorly about a lot of women that he's dated, including Jessica Simpson and Jennifer Aniston, both of whom still hold grudges to this day. And he said some pretty nasty things about women in general as well, making very inappropriate comments about women, and even going so far as to say that he only finds white women attractive and literally no one else. And speaking of all that, John has also used a lot of racial slurs in the past, saying the N-word with the hard R on a few occasions, and he actually never even apologized. So yeah, remember that next time you hear him on the radio. Halfway at number 5, Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams basically trashes most celebrities on her show and has a reputation for taking low blows when talking about celebrities. She's made enemies out of practically everyone in the business for her mean-spirited rants. One person she has savagely gone after is Meghan Markle. When Harry and Meghan first got together, she said, quote, "There's way too much drama with her and this will not work out." When the two later got married and Meghan became a royal, Wendy said on her show that Meghan, quote, "weaseled her way into the kingdom." Then when Wendy was talking about the documentary Harry and Meghan, An African Journey, Meghan spoke about how she was warned that she should stay away from Harry, as the tabloids would ruin her life. But Wendy didn't buy that and said, quote, "Yes, you did. You knew exactly what you were doing. Please don't try to garner sympathy from us." In at number 4, Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson has just made enemies out of the Paul brothers after he publicly trashed Jake Paul during his boxing stream. Before the Jake Paul-Ben Askren fight, Davidson, who was the host, went viral several times for mocking Paul during backstage segments. At one point, Davidson even asked a question that ended up getting bleeped in the broadcast. Many believe it was related to the recent claims by a woman that Jake forced himself on her. Later, Davidson also said that he should be in jail. After the fight, Jake and the entire Paul family trashed Davidson, with Jake saying that Pete will not be invited back to host. Jake's dad even said at one point, quote, "Can I fight that piece of shit?" And at number 3, Michael Bay. Not only has director Michael Bay been referred to as a major sexist by celebrities like Megan Fox, he probably doesn't mind, as celebrities speculate that he wants a dictator-like reputation on set. Apparently, he treats his set like a war zone and directs his staff like they're his subordinates that need to be put in place. But he doesn't keep those strict rules for himself, and he's been known to show up hours late for shoots, and then the moment his feet touch the ground, it's go, go, go from there. He basically wants everything done very fast and leaves no room for joking around or even contemplating anything. His staff has also claimed that he berates them for hours and hours on set with harassing comments. In at number 2, Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber has done some insane stuff over the years, like almost running over a photographer in one of his cars. He's done other controversial stuff like spit over a crowd of adoring fans. This happened in Toronto. Justin took to his balcony where hundreds of people were desperately waiting outside to see a glimpse of the star. But when Justin came out, he actually spat on them. Him and his wife also don't seem to have thick skin and have been known to sue people on TikTok who expose things about them that they don't like one plastic surgeon who exposed what procedures that he thought Hailey had done. And finally, at number 1, Michael Jordan. I actually didn't know this before, but apparently Michael Jordan is one of the rudest and meanest celebrities out there. Rapper Chamillionaire exposed a story of when Jordan was incredibly rude to him. The rapper met Jordan at a party and wanted a picture and autograph with him, which Jordan refused. Chamillionaire said that Jordan told him, quote, "I'm not taking pictures with anybody." Then when when the rapper tried to explain that he was a huge fan and had just purchased a $7,000 commemorative Michael Jordan jersey, Jordan replied saying, quote, "You know what? I'll tell you what, I'll pay you $15,000 right now for a jersey from me and I'll take a picture with you." Jordan is known to be a businessman, but that is just ridiculous, especially after he had already bought a jersey. Like, that's crazy. Jordan was also apparently banned from a Miami country club because he was rude to an official when he was confronted about what he was wearing. Jordan's team later released a statement saying, quote, "I guess it's their loss, as MJ is a great golfer and a great guest."
At number 10, Jennifer Lopez. This probably doesn't come as a shock to many, but it turns out that J-Lo isn't very nice. A lot of people have said that she's a real diva, and others say that she's just plain rude, and she's done a number of things that have rubbed people the wrong way. Apparently, the singer/actress is very picky about who may or may not speak to her, and for those permitted to address her, they're not allowed to make eye contact. There have even been reports that she flat out refuses to comply with scripts. This has happened on a few occasions, most notably during filming for a Fiat commercial where they needed to hire a double for Jennifer simply because she just didn't want to do certain things for the shoot. On top of that, she doesn't have a good reputation with a lot of people who's worked with her either. She's said to have completely ignored the people who are remodeling her house. She's gotten a cleaning lady fired for having asked for an autograph, and she even refuses to talk to in-flight staff and pilots on flights and instructs her assistant to talk to them for her. And to make matters worse, even though her staff do so much for her, including communicating for her, they don't get paid very much for their time. Even though she may seem super cool on the surface, she's a little sour in real life. At number 9, Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey isn't the nicest person ever. She's had several run-ins with the paparazzi, which have not gone over well. She's had some pretty bad relationships with others, and she's known for being a complete and utter diva. But there's one incident in particular that really just exposes how mean Mariah can be. There was a lawsuit from one of Mariah's former assistants, which accused her of a number of horrible things. The former assistant alleged that the singer peed on her, ridiculed her body, and called her a handful of pretty rude names. Her former assistant said that she was hired by the singer to be on call 24/7 and assisted both Mariah and her manager at the time. Though she was paid a salary of $250,000 a year, this wage couldn't cover up the horrible things that she was put through by Mariah. But her case wasn't the only one up against the singer at the time. While this case was being disputed, Mariah had just settled one with her former manager who cited breach of contract, harassment, and unpaid wages. Just because you pay people a lot of money doesn't mean you get to treat them like trash. Now, before I carry on with the list, I would like to take a moment to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, because your likes really help to support the channel and we love to see it. At number 8, Gwyneth Paltrow. A lot of people seem to really dislike Gwyneth Paltrow for some reason. Though she's never really done anything horrible to people directly, it is alleged that she's so disliked in Hollywood because she comes off as pretty pretentious, egotistical, and privileged. People don't really see Gwyneth as the average person or as someone that they can relate to, which a lot of people seem to find off-putting. The Goop founder seems to like flaunting her wealth and materialistic things and makes it seem like it's something that everyone else has or can afford. For example, her Goop website's list of must-have clothing pieces and other things include things that cost hundreds if not thousands of dollars, which not a lot of people can relate to having. On top of that, she came from a wealthy family, so being someone who's always been rich, she doesn't really know how to humble herself around those who haven't been as fortunate as her. People also don't like how she comes across as self-centered, as she seems to always talk about herself and how fit she is and how great her lifestyle is. She also has a diva attitude. She's been known to slam Michelin star restaurants, and if you know what that means, then you know she's got an attitude to do something like that. And to make matters worse, she's been known to demand that people clean and dry the shower at the gym after someone's used it because she, quote, can't touch somebody else's shower water. Yeah. She just has a lot of diva energy and can come across as quite rude, so I can understand why not everyone wants to be her friend. At number 7, James Corden. A lot of people don't like James Corden. Celebrities and regular old Joes like you and me just can't seem to get along with the late night host, and there's a few reasons for this. Turns out that he's actually pretty mean in real life, and this persona that you see on TV is all just an elaborate ruse. In reality, James is arrogant, rude, and a huge diva. There are a bunch of stories that paint James as a mean person. Firstly, he was once part of a group of people who advocated for paying late night writers less money. Yeah, you heard that right. He's also been known to use the good old "do you know who I am" line quite a number of times, and he's even reportedly told someone that he could buy them if they didn't do what he wanted. There's a lot of problematic energy to unpack there, but that is a whole other video. On top of that, there's been incidents of fans catching James being mean to his wife and letting his temper get the best of him at times. A lot of people say that he only acts nice in order to butt kiss his way to the top, and he doesn't care who he takes down in the process. But I think people are starting to catch on to this ruse because more and more people are starting to dislike him. Just ask Twitter. At number 6, Amy Schumer. It seems like Amy Schumer doesn't really care about what people think of her. In a way, that can be a good thing because you learn to live your life for yourself, but it can also give you an attitude and prevent you from thinking about your actions and how they can impact others. An example of this comes from an incident from back in 2018 where Amy full-on stole a comedian's stand-up set. Amy was at a comedy club and up on stage, and an up-and-coming comedian was doing one of his first long sets, and obviously this was a pretty big deal for the guy until Amy ruined it. She walked into the venue and went to the manager to ask if she could steal 10 minutes of stage time because she wanted to practice her new set. Because the other comedian just started on stage, the manager said no, so Amy hit back with the "but I'm Amy Schumer." Like that's really gonna do something. After getting refusals left and right, she decided to take matters into her own hands and marched up on the stage and just took over his time for a few minutes. I know Amy is a big timer, but come on, you have to remember what it was like to be up and coming, and that kind of behavior is just rude. At number 5, Katherine Heigl. A lot of people don't like Katherine Heigl because of how rude she is. She's known in the film industry for being pretty mean and having a diva attitude. She's allegedly mean to people on set, has high demands, and just has a very bad overall attitude. She's known to be quite critical of her roles and the material that she's given to work with, and she even said this when she withdrew from the Emmy nominations because she said that the material she was given for Grey's Anatomy didn't warrant an Emmy. That is certainly disrespectful to the writers because for someone to say something like that implies that the writing wasn't good enough to please people, whereas the people at the Emmys thought it was worth an award. And on top of that, winning this kind of award looks good for the team, but Katherine obviously didn't think of that. She only thought about herself. The actress is known to make ridiculously high salary demands, and she's apparently been doing this since before she became a big name in the industry. She's reportedly hired and fired a lot of publicists and assistants over the years, so she really sounds like quite the diva and a horrible boss too. Because of all this, directors and Hollywood execs just don't want to work with her anymore, and honestly, I can't really say that I blame them. At number 4, Michael Phelps. Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps is often referred to as the best swimmer of all time, but it seems like his aquatic skills are really the only thing he's got going for him, since apparently he's got a pretty bad attitude and is pretty rude in real life. Michael has done some bad stuff in his life, so people already don't think that highly of him as an individual. Back in 2014, he was arrested for driving under the influence, and speaking of under the influence, Phelps has also been caught with drugs before. Already, this isn't good for his image because being an Olympian, people have a lot of eyes on you. Phelps was reprimanded for his drunk driving and was suspended from swimming for 6 months, but other than that, this scandal was kept pretty under wraps. Now if only they could have put that much energy into Sha'Carri Richardson. On top of this swimmer being a felon, he's also known to not be a team player. Apparently he hides himself away from his other teammates when at competitions like the Olympics instead of being with his team to support them. You would think that being at something like the Olympics, you would want to soak up all that team spirit, but no. Michael wants nothing to do with his team and instead flies solo. Kind of mean if you ask me. At number 3, Jared Leto. You may like Jared Leto on screen, but off screen he's kind of a jerk. There's even a list online that tallies up all the reasons that make him a bad person. And if something like that exists, then you know something's up. Some of the reasons listed as to why Jared sucks so much include the fact that he's been caught being mean to fans, he's rude to reporters during interviews, and he's offended the trans community after winning an Oscar for his performance in Dallas Buyers Club and not mentioning the trans community in his speech, as well as undermining the struggles of the trans community after joking about his appearance in character. Jared has also admitted to lying during interviews whenever possible for absolutely no reason, and people found his Joker antics on the set of Suicide Squad to be a little mean because of the pranks that he would play on people as well as the gifts that he would send to the cast and crew. Most of the allegations against Jared and his attitude are pretty minor, but add them all up and you get someone that you might not necessarily enjoy having around. But what do you guys think? You still want to be his friend? At number 2, Christina Aguilera. Christina Aguilera may have the voice of an angel, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she is one. Turns out she has a bit of a dark side and a handful of people have experienced it. Other than being shady at Lady Gaga during their 2008 feud, where she called her some unpleasant names and said, quote, "I'm not quite sure who this person is, to be honest, I don't know if it's a man or a woman." end quote. She's also had some other rude encounters with more of her peers. When working on the set of her various gigs, she's reportedly always late, holds up production, and never apologizes for delaying production. She also reportedly has some beef with Adam Levine while working on The Voice, and they would bicker constantly. Christina is also known to be an absolute diva, and working with her seems to be a nightmare because sources say that she's very rude and demanding of her household staff and treats her staff poorly, insisting that they are on call 24/7. Christina also has had feuds with Pink, Mariah Carey, and even got mad at Mickey Mouse once. Yeah, she got into a heated argument with Mickey Mouse when she was at Disneyland in 2014 for her birthday. She wanted to take a picture with the mouse, but he was going on break, so instead of being an understanding person, she pulled the "Do you know who I am" card. I mean, how can you do that to Mickey? What did Mickey do? And finally, at number 1, Bruce Willis. Actor Bruce Willis has had a great career making great movies and basking in fame, but it seems as though he's not all that great in real life. Apparently, Bruce is a nightmare to work with as he's gotten into a number of conflicts with others on set, and people just really hate working with him. Before Die Hard launched his film career, he was brought into stardom after working on the show Moonlighting alongside his co-star Sybil Shepherd. Back in 2005, Shepherd told sources that there came a point where her relationship with Bruce became really toxic and they clashed a lot on set. There was reportedly constant bickering and it was just a really bad working environment. But of course, Sybil isn't the only one to have clashed with Bruce while working together. Filmmaker Kevin Smith has also had his troubles working with Bruce while filming the 2010 film Cop Out. He told sources that though he once saw Bruce as his hero in past productions, that opinion completely went out the window, saying that working with Bruce was difficult. When speaking out about their time together on set, Kevin said, quote, "He turned out to be the unhappiest, most bitter, and meanest emo B-word I've ever met at any job I've held down, and mind you, I worked at Domino's Pizza. What an awful experience," end quote. Now I just wonder if something triggers this horrible behavior or if he's just always like this.